Like it or not, Mr. Howard, everyone works for me eventually.
And just like that, all my gamer friendulums, Season 2 of Fallout is done. But is it better than Season 1? That's actually for a different video. Today, I'm here to review Episode 8, The Strip, aka what if Las Vegas survived the apocalypse and immediately chose violence, capitalism, and lots of really bad decisions. This episode said, radiation is temporary, but greed is forever. So we finally arrive at the last episode, The Strip, and honestly, it's just as incredible as the rest of the season. You got neon lights, we got Maximus taking on Deathclaws, giant destroyed casinos, people trying to pretend civilization is back to normal while standing on top of a nuclear graveyard, just like the real Vegas, but with more Geiger counters and way fewer Elvis impersonators.
Thank you very much.
Amazon absolutely cooked the season finale. I love how the episode immediately tells you the rules of the strip. Rule 1, everyone is lying. Rule 2, everyone is armed. Rule 3, if something seems friendly, it's about to emotionally ruin you.
Emotional, damn it!
But before I get any deeper into my review, if I could quickly ask you to take a moment to like and subscribe and to hit the little notification bell. It really helps a brother out and it goes a long way. Now fire up that Pip-Boy, mark on the map where you want to go, and let's dive deep into my review of Episode 8, The Strip. We open with Caesar's Legion, who we haven't seen since Episode 3, but the civil war between the two factions of the Legion has continued. But Lacerta Legate drags the body of the original Caesar into a tent and finds a piece of paper on the Caesar's corpse, announced who the new leader is, but for some reason, nobody from either side wanted to go grab it to find out. He takes a piece of paper out and it says, I am Caesar, I am the Legion, it ends with me. Bullshit to that.
Nuts!
Lacerta eats the note, but not before a legionary asks what it says, and Legate just kills him. Lacerta takes the crown and then walks out of the tent and then proceeds to do some pretty terrible acting. I'm very unimpressed with Macaulay's acting. It's not like he's been out of the game for a while. I mean, he took it felt like 20 years off of acting, but he's still doing things. He was in American Horror Story, I believe, and he's done other things. But his acting in this show was really bad. Surprised about that, I don't know. I guess great acting should run in the family, considering how good of an actor his brother Kieran is.
We'll build a palace worthy of our empire.
I don't see Macaulay getting any Emmy nominations for his performance. And the way that they hyped in this season made it seem like a bigger deal, when in reality, he was basically only on screen for about 10 minutes, which is one of the overall issues I have with the entire season. Jamming in new characters, but not giving them enough time to breathe. I'm going to try to avoid reviewing the entire season or make comments about how I feel about the season itself. I save that for my actual review of the entire season. Once he takes the crown, he goes out of the town. He says, we're going to Vegas!
Vegas!
But not for fun reasons. He tells them that they're going to claim Vegas and then build a palace for the Legion, calling it Caesar's Palace. But don't they already know there's a Caesar's Palace? They could just go there and move in. It's already a Caesar's Palace just waiting for them. In the Lucky 38 penthouse, the Ghoul is talking with House after he just powered him up with the cold fusion diode. The Ghoul threatens to shoot it, but House says he honestly doesn't know what would really happen. It could just be a big explosion, or it could actually just destroy the entire planet. So to keep him from doing that, House promises to show them where his wife and kid is, but he wants to know why he hadn't been told about a vault from management in Vegas. But they come to an arrangement that will let the Ghoul get into the vault. The Ghoul can get to the vault right from there after walking underground. House gives him a nice, sexy, shiny Pip-Boy, and he's on his way. Back on the Freeze-Shot strip, the Deathclaws realize they can enter through the broken gate. Maximus is brave as F in this episode. One thing that I never really realized about him is how stinking ballsy he is as he takes on multiple Deathclaws, and he takes them on rather well. The Thaddeus and Freesiders run away like a bunch of pussies. Maximus realizes that his power armor has a weapon system which you can use to blow up a Deathclaw. Why I didn't figure that out earlier, I can't really say. While all this is happening in the shop, people start taking bets on how long Maximus is going to last for. Thaddeus steps up thinking, okay, Thaddeus is going to tell them, what are you guys doing? We need to go out there and help. But instead he's like, I put 500 on Maximus killing all of them. He magically somehow pulls this huge stash of caps that he just had on him somewhere, somehow. He drops it all through his leg. And through his pant leg, he drops a gigantic stash of bottle caps. And I'm wondering, okay, how did he have all those caps on him the entire time? Where is he hiding them? Was he hiding some up his butt? Does he have secret pockets inside of his pants? Did he upgrade his pants to put pockets in it? Did he craft himself a new pair of pocket pants?
If peeing your pants is cool, consider me Miles Davis.
We're finally picking up where the end of last episode ended, with Lucy approaching the disembodied head of Diane Welch. As the door of the mainframe room shuts behind her, she hesitantly goes to touch the brain helmet she's wearing. Welch's eyes open and Lucy freaks out, asks if he's alive, but Welch struggles to reply anything through the electronic voice box. But all she really says that Lucy can understand is to kill her. Please kill me. Lucy doesn't want to do that. She's getting annoyed and angry that people just want to be killed. So Lucy's upset because she's just tired of all this death, and now someone's asking her to kill her. Doesn't want to, but she eventually takes her out with a crowbar. The abandoned Vault-Tec headquarters. The executives are dragging Norm. As he struggles, Claudia's trying to help to get Ronnie McCurtry, the de facto leader of the group, to let him go. Ronnie tells Claudia Norm isn't one of them, and neither is she, as she only got the job last week. As in last week, 200 years ago. She tries to free them, but she's pushed against the wall, and then she accidentally presses the elevator call button. Once the elevator arrives, the door opens, and there's nothing in there. And they're relieved until suddenly a gigantic rad roach comes out, and then a swarm pour out of the elevator shaft, attacking them all. Norm protects himself using a chair and then runs after the group, saving one of them on his way. But Ronnie stops him from entering a room against Claudia's protest. So Ronnie, like an a-hole, pushes them out. It doesn't close the door in time to let more rad roaches get in the room as they proceed to massacre everybody in that room. The rad roaches seem to be a lot more vicious than they do in the games. In the games, they're annoying, they're irritating, but you never get swarmed by them. You don't have a whole bunch of rad roaches coming at you at once. And if you did, you'd be able to take them out. Also, let's not forget that Barb and Ma June actually live in the basement of that same abandoned Vault-Tec headquarters. They actually created a makeshift pens out of the old elevator shafts to support a rad roach breeding farm. So this is where all those rad roaches came from. And Majun and Barb are probably going to be pissed that all their rad roaches are gone. Even though he showed some moments of bravery and then helping that one person by smacking away one of the rad roaches, once the room door closes, he just hides under a table and waits for it all to be over, reminding me of how he reacted in season 1 when those raiders, Norm just goes and hides. Here he is hiding once again. In the 2077 flashback, Cooper and Barb are at the McCarran airport, celebrating the win after they think they averted a nuclear war, and talking about maybe they should just move to Colorado. As you recall last episode, Steph, who worked at the hotel they're at, helped to get rid of Hank. Once Hank woke up, they just had a nice big long conversation until early in the morning, and then Hank proposed to her. Hank remarks how Steph has an unbelievable resume for a maid, and then says that maybe Bud should give her a job. To that, Barb just says, okay, maybe. Cooper and Barb watch them in surprise. Pretty huge reveal that Steph and Hank are actually married. This also harkens back to the previous episode where Stephanie's mom told her to do whatever she needs to do to survive. Considering Stephanie was asking Cooper about how one would get into a vault, she figured it out by just marrying someone who's going to go into the vault. So once again, we see Stephanie's cunningness, but also her willingness to do whatever it takes for her to survive. But now seeing that she has a marriage of convenience with Hank, does that mean her friendship with Lucy was completely fabricated for the sake of this sham of a marriage? And in season 1, I don't recall them having any type of interactions whatsoever. It only would have happened in the first episode. So that means when they were unfrozen however many years later and then placed in those vaults, was it always the strategic plan from the get-go? So does that mean that she's actually Lucy's and Norm's mom? Probably not. After Lucy takes out Mrs. Welch, she goes outside, a fresh of breath air. And her dad, who begins to talk to her about the brain control chips, saying that while the original creator of the chips, Mr. House, wanted to turn men into robots, he wanted to bring the personality to them by using Welch as the catalyst, because Welch had the perfect personality matrix, being the ideal standard for a Vault-Tec personnel, well-meaning, sweet, and non-threatening, even though also very boring. So they were using Welch as a personality standard for all these new people that they were going to brainwash with these chips. Lucy asks the endgame. He reveals a miniature version of the chip, remarking that soon no one will be able to tell who has it and who doesn't. The only sign is a small scar on the neck. So then the big legionary from last episode that she got a fight with, he shows up looking all menacing. Did Hank somehow have to adjust this one particular legionary's personality to be menacing, as by default they all seem to be nice and happy? But Hank tells her that after she receives the chip, she'll be his little girl again. Lucy calls him insane, which shocks Hank, of course, before he tells her that she doesn't mean it, and soon she won't. Lucy hits the legionary with the crowbar, doesn't do much, and then he starts to strangle her. Maximus continues to fight the Deathclaws, slicing the arm of one of them using a bludgeon. The Freesiders continue to watch as Maximus finally kills the Deathclaw with a missile, although he realizes he's now out of ammunition. The Freesiders are still taking more bets, but as Maximus begins to lose, due to the fact that there's a lot of Deathclaws that just keep showing up, Maximus is getting attacked by another Deathclaw, but then boom, is shot in the head, stunning it. Maximus looks up to the roof where Thaddeus has fired a shot, using his foot to steady the rifle with his one good arm. As they give each other a thumbs up, Thaddeus tries to reload his rifle, but it's really hard to do when he only has one hand. Though I could see Thaddeus becoming a sniper expert. It only makes sense for him to have the one arm to become an expert sniper. Or perhaps there'll be something else he becomes an expert at, only because he has the one arm. By next season, who knows? He could have continued. He may be mutated further into what some people think might be a centaur, but I think it could actually be a mutant. Hank tries to place the chip in Lucy's neck as the legionary is choking Lucy, and Hank just sits there to watch as his daughter is choked out. Legionary is killed by a throwing knife from the ghoul. Then he shoots Hank in the butt. The ghoul is using that same gun he's used other times, and that gun is very explosive. But we've seen him use this gun before, and it literally blows holes through people. But here he shoots Hank in the butt. If it was up to him, he would have to kill him. But it's Lucy's decision as he slides a tiny little gun towards her. Then the ghoul just walks away. So he shows up, kills the legionary, shoots Hank in the butt, and then gives Lucy this tiny little gun that's only the same size as her hand. A gun that I don't even recognize from being in the games at all. It actually reminds me a lot of the gun from Men in Black. Something Cricket, whatever it's called. Will Smith gets, thinking that, oh, well, this tiny little gun isn't going to do anything. But then he uses it. Maybe it's the same situation with this tiny little gun that he gives her. So as the ghoul's walking away, she looks down at her father and then looks over at the tiny little microchip that he was about to put in her neck. This is the last time Ghoul and Lucy see each other, for this season at least. So a not so fond farewell between the two.
Farewell.
Inside the suit, we hear a very familiar sound of the fusion core. The sound of the fusion core that they use in this episode is the sound that the game uses when you run out of a fusion core. And you're wearing the power armor, you need fusion cores to constantly power it. So when you run out, you just have another one right then and there to replace it, as you have to carry these around wherever you go. But in the show, Maximus doesn't have a stash of fusion cores lying around, so the use of this sound isn't correct because they're using it more as a warning sound. So Max's armor is kind of bugging out, but the use of the fusion core sound isn't an accurate use of the sound. As he's knocked to the ground next to a dead Deathclaw, but then he just gets out of the armor. He climbs out of the suit as Thaddeus is on the roof still watching, telling him not to. And he just arms himself with a pool cue and a roulette wheel as a shield. So this is how insanely brave Maximus is. He's going to take on a bunch of Deathclaws with a pool cue and a roulette wheel. And then the Freesiders that are still hiding realize that he's just a kid, and one of them arms himself, trying to rouse others to join him, but they're like, nah. So as a bunch of more Deathclaws come at him and they're about to be attacked, as always, in moments like this that are almost getting old to me, somebody shows up out of nowhere and saves the day. And in this case, it was an NCR, New California Republic sniper that had killed the Deathclaw before taking out another. So it's an entire NCR battalion arrives with Rodriguez from multiple episodes ago commanding them. She relieves Maximus, who gratefully obliges. And this moment where the NCR sniper takes out the Deathclaw, the angle and the way that the sniper is angled is almost exactly like it is in New Vegas. There's a cutscene in New Vegas, the game, where they show an NCR sniper. It's a mirrored angle, almost the exact same shot of the sniper from the games shooting somebody on the strip, complete with it being in slow motion and the flames at the end of the barrel coming out. So they're doing a shot-for-shot remake of a moment that's from the New Vegas games. An emotional moment between Lucy and Hank when she leads him out onto the strip, having somehow figured out how to plant a chip in his neck without having any type of surgical experience.
Oh boy, Stephanie.
Lucy doesn't react whatsoever. Does she not understand what he means by Stephanie, oh Stephanie? Why would he even say that? She doesn't question that at all.
A very emotional moment, especially for Ella Purnell as Lucy. She's talking about how she dreamt of the world outside the vault and that she could live there with her. And then Hank tells her that he almost wanted to go back to the vault just so he could see the familiar faces. Figures out that they're not actually going back to the vault, even though that was Lucy's plan. But she talks about how the surface has changed as a person, but Hank tries to convince her to join him in stopping the Legion. This seems to be what he was planning all along. She asks him to tell her what he was really doing in Vegas, although he asks what she will do once he does. She admits that she will turn him into the father she wished she had. She admits she'll turn him into the father that he once was, or the father that she believed who he was.
The surface is the experiment, not the vaults.
What exactly does Hank mean? The surface are the experiments, not the vaults. What he's referring to is the forced evolutionary virus, which was first brought up in season 1 when the traveling salesman was using it, Thaddeus, to help with his broken foot. So the surface is the experiment. So this just turns kind of the whole thing upside down, recontextualizing everything into making the Enclave on a whole other level. It's all, everything that happens, even out Vault-Tec, is all controlled by the Enclave. The companies played around in their vaults, while the Enclave, pulling the strings all the while, is using the world as a laboratory, or at the very least, North America. Oh, let me tell you, America sure could use a big old reset right now, if you know what I mean.
Know what I mean?
He also reveals that he's already sent a whole bunch of people with the new chips into his neck into the wasteland with orders written pre-war. Just as Lucy is about to use his remote to turn her dad, which is kind of dark in itself for her to actually go that far. But he takes out his own remote, that he somehow just had a remote, I guess it was in his pocket the whole time. He turns on his own chip. To me, that just confuses me of how these things work. Any remote can work with any chip. Like he just had an extra remote in his pocket the whole time. Or Lucy grabbed another remote that was lying around and somehow she just knows how to use it. But before she even has a chance, he turns on his own chip, essentially just resetting him completely. He doesn't even know who she is anymore. And Lucy is devastated. She's crying and Ella Purnell is acting her butt off. She gives him a hug, but he just kind of resets his entire mind. Hank did some effed up stuff, though he was still trying to just end war between people, which isn't a bad idea.
Question.
How did Lucy know how to make the chip work to the point where it doesn't erase his memory and just makes him be more docile or whatnot? How would she know how to do that? Does each chip have a different use? Or does every chip just do the same thing and then you use the remote? But how did she know to use the remote? Not completely wipe him like he did. How did she know that she was going to do it right and not F it up? End up wiping him just like he did to himself? How would she even know how to sew a tiny little thing in the back of her dad's neck? How does Lucy know that she wouldn't have just botched it and made his head blow up or something? She starts walking away and then we hear someone say Lucy, and then that makes us think that for a second Hank actually is back to normal. But no, someone calls out Lucy, but it ends up being Maximus. First time Lucy and Maximus has seen each other since season 1. So Lucy and Maximus has this nice little reunion moment. It's happening with Steph in the Vault 32. The dwellers are still banging on the door, demanding Steph open up. We finally see what's inside Hank's keepsake box, revealing a Enclave branded Pip-Boy. Steph radios the Enclave, telling them that she is Hank McClane's wife and to initiate Phase 2. So in this Enclave research colony in Colorado, which we hadn't seen since season 1, her message is received, leading to a terminal announcing that there has been a Phase 2 initiation request. Previous radio.
During this communication from Stephanie, we can also hear Norm's message and also Hank's message from earlier in the season, revealing that when he first sent that message, they made it seem like he was sending it to Robert House, but he was actually sending it to the Enclave. They're able to hear Norm's transmission. He wasn't sure who he was actually sending it out to. I guess the Enclave picked up the message, or perhaps it went directly to them because they seem to have their tentacles in everything they were indicated to be the other player episodes ago.
Question.
But what exactly is Phase 2?
Phase 1 actually refers to the initial foundational step of Vault-Tec's ultimate plan to wipe the slate clean, aka drop the bombs themselves and rebuild society in their own image. And Phase 1 is designed to prepare for Phase 2, using the forced evolutionary virus to create controllable super soldiers.
Back with Norm, where he climbs out of a spot, goes into the room which he could have just went into in the first place, but he decided to be a coward. So even after all this moment where Norm was growing on me, and I still love him of course, but he still has that cowardice in him, which at the same time, I don't know, if he went into that room to try to save him, he'd probably be dead too. He goes in there, Claudia's still alive, picks her up and drags her out on the cart from the facility. So now we have Norm dragging her along in this big old cart.
He tells Claudia that he's taking her home. So at least this means that at the beginning of season 3, they'll still be in Los Angeles.
The ghoul finally reaches the cryo chamber room. House warns him that if his family is not inside, he'll not be able to protect him from the Enclave, as he had previously tried to warn him about. For a moment, we go back to 2077. Cooper answers the ringing payphones, and it's House on the other end telling him he had no role in what is about to happen. Even though he doesn't know what's about to happen, he knows something's about to happen. House warns him there are far worse people than him. He commends Cooper for trying to be a hero, men watching him before an agent from the House Un-American Activities Committee arrests him for an un-American actions. Just like I suspected in last episode, the character that Clancy Brown was playing as a president wasn't really the president, and he's a member of the Enclave. But did Diane Welch know that herself? Does that mean Diane Welch is part of the Enclave, or does she just get duped as well? Barb tries to get Cooper to fight the charges together, but he stops her, telling him that he will take the fall to protect their daughter, ordering Barb to deny any knowledge of what he did. Where the F is Janie? Cooper and Barb are running around Vegas. Where's Janie? Does she have a babysitter? We saw her for like one episode this entire season, and we never see her again. Are their grandparents taking care of her or something? House Un-American Activities Committee is an anti-communist organization of the United States, but it is actually not part of the games, and it is a committee that appears only in the Fallout series. The House Un-American Activities Committee is actually a real-world conference that existed from 1938 to 1975 with the goal of investigating disloyalty to the United States and communist sympathies on the domestic front. To the ghoul and approaching Barb and Janie's cryo chamber, it gets open and it's empty. Not really all that surprising. But inside, there's a tiny little postcard from Colorado. He picks up the postcard and it's a note from Barb saying Colorado was a good idea. So somehow her and Janie got away to Colorado.
Question.
How long ago did that happen? I mean, if it's been 200 years, perhaps they're not alive anymore? Like, if you're put in this vault, how do you somehow get out? Does that mean that she's already been alive this whole time and there's no way that she'll still be alive for 200 years? But House tries to tell him he's still living in a fiction, though the ghoul stops him and tells him that for the first time in 200 years, he knows his family is alive. He just walks off, dropping the Pip-Boy. House tries to get him to stop, telling him the Enclave is out there and they still have business to attend to. The ghoul tells him that he doesn't have any business with him. The ghoul is the coolest, most interesting, amazing character in this show. Every time he's not on screen, I want to see him on screen again. The makeup work is phenomenal. The entire outfit is phenomenal. His acting is phenomenal. I wonder if Goggins will get another nod. They don't generally give out awards or nominations to performances like that just because they're a bunch of stuffed shirts who just want regular white people to give nice white people performances. Lucy and Maximus reach the penthouse of the Lucky 38. On House's computer bank with a signal loss screen. What took place there for that to even happen? Why does he suddenly have a signal lost? But they're looking over New Vegas, seeing the troops coming in, and Lucy says that there's going to be a war and it will be all her fault. I don't see how that could be true, as there's going to be a war no matter what. Hank already sent off all those people. How she would have stopped that, even by turning Hank into the father Hank that she wants. For a second, we see House's face appears on the monitor for a second before vanishing again. Clearly, this is not the last we're going to see of Mr. Howace.
Welcome to the wasteland.
And we see the ghoul overlooking the desert. Dogmeat is suddenly just back to his side. As the last time we saw Dogmeat, he was with Thaddeus and the Freesiders, but now suddenly he's just back with the ghoul. So what happened there?
Hot dog.
Dogmeat wasn't utilized a whole lot this season. He was just around, and then occasionally he would just bark somewhat in response to what's happening. There is a serious lack of Dogmeat in this season.
And I heard that voice within me thunder.
Inkspot seems to be one of Fallout's series' favorite bands, but over the credits we see a bunch of NCR propaganda posters, and then the camera pans to reveal the Silver Rush and Atomic Wrangler with the Lucky 38 in the background. NCR flags and recruiting stations are shown, along with signs pointing towards City Hall. The camera continues to pan outside Freeside, showing Legion banners and crucified people outside the walls. Well, the credits always seem to kind of round up everything that just kind of happened, but also hinting at future moments. Then we see a billboard with a meat bag hanging from it, and the billboard says, "Take your family to the Rockies," indicating the Colorado Rockies seems to be where the ghoul is now headed. But how long of a walk is that from all across the Mojave to Colorado?
Question.
So what exactly is the significance of Colorado? Colorado is mentioned several times in Fallout New Vegas. It also plays a significant role in the game Fallout Tactics as a supercomputer known as the Calculator, which is located in Vault 0, based out of the Cheyenne Mountain. Incidentally, almost right in the middle of the United States of America. So that could be one of the reasons why the Enclave base is located there. So we get a post-credit scene back at Area 51 in the aftermath of the Brotherhood of Steel. Dane is walking through before knocking on Quintus's office. There's a guard that questions him, but Dane shows the blueprint roll and lets him inside. Dane gives the roll to Quintus, who commands them to open it. When Dane asks what it is, Quintus says that he tried to unify the Brotherhood, but Quintus the Unify is now dead, and Quintus the Destroyer has been born. The blueprints are revealed to be for Liberty Prime Alpha. And that's where the entire season ends. And Liberty Prime actually hints back to an episode or two ago where we saw the fake Robert House standing in front of the legs of a Liberty Prime. Is this Liberty Prime they're talking about already built? Or was that Liberty Prime just a fake one that they use for the commercial? Are they planning on building an entire Liberty Prime from the ground up? Only time will tell. Barb
has pretty much redeemed herself, as we learn that she helped Cooper with removing the diode from young Hank's neck, but also we learned that when Cooper was first quote unquote arrested so they could keep him off the board and away from Barb, he told her, do whatever you had to do for our child, Janie. It would seem that she ingratiated herself so deeply in with the Enclave after this that she was actually coerced by the Enclave into actually suggesting at the Vault-Tec meeting to be the one that dropped the bombs first. So it wasn't her that actually said that, it was the Enclave forcing her to do it. And everything that she was doing was always just to protect Janie. So Barb has pretty much redeemed herself. The strip is a confidence episode. It doesn't rely on nostalgia bait. It doesn't over-explain the lore. And it trusts Fallout fans to recognize what they're seeing without pointing at it like, hey, remember, it understands that Fallout isn't about the bombs. It's about what they build after them and apparently what they build. The strip is a confident, measured episode that understands Fallout themes and trusts its audience. It prioritizes atmosphere, power dynamics, and moral ambiguity over action, setting the stage for season 3 without rushing towards it. It may not be the most explosive finale to season 2, but it's one of the most thematically consistent. A reminder that in Fallout, the apocalypse didn't destroy human nature, it just gave it better lighting. And there we are with the finale. You'll have to like and subscribe to watch and see my incredible review that I'm going to do for the entire season. But another excellent episode. If I had one gripe about this episode, I wouldn't mind it being actually a little bit longer, just because they didn't give enough stories time to breathe. The moments with Norm were so short. If you totaled them up, it would probably only equal to about 5 minutes. Jammed every single person's story that's in the show into one episode. Even Macaulay's character at the very beginning, we got to see where that character's at now, and now where Stephanie's at, and Barb, and everyone's getting their own little tiny moment. And they could have extended the episode just a little to get more out there, because the minimal amount of time they spend on some of the characters is one of my overall issues with the entire season. But you'll have to stay tuned to hear what I have to say about all of that.
Hot dog.
What did you think of episode 8? What did you think of the season finale, season 2 of Fallout? Did the strip live up to New Vegas itself? Who do you trust the least going into the next season? Drop your thoughts. Hit the like if this review didn't irradiate your brain. Subscribe for more Fallout and game adaptation coverage. And always remember, war never changes. But New Vegas refuses to die like a rad roach. Keep gaming, T-Gan out.